Good morning. Good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Church of Stuart, Florida. Today is Sunday, October 5th, 2025. I am Jim Rose, and I'm your worship associate today. We are here to celebrate, affirm, and to put into action the interconnected living mission of the Unitarian principles that you'll find printed on the back of your order of service. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, religions, and backgrounds, recognizing their inherent worth and dignity in every person. We broadcast and archive our services on YouTube, and to be put on our mailing list or to find out more, go to our website, tcuuc.org. At this time, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. And we'd like to welcome any visitors. If you're here for the first or even second time and are comfortable to step up to the microphone, please do. Do we have any newcomers today? No? Good morning again. Okay, for our announcements, see the printed order of service and the newsletter for details. Jenny has reorganized our order of service. So if you find it to be easier to follow and better flow, you can thank her. I think it looks wonderful. And along the sides, we have some of the things that are going on. So this is where you can get some of that information. Today's the first Sunday of the month, and we recognize the birthdays. If you're an October birthday, please stand. October birthdays, John? Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you. I see Sandy Craig as an October birthday. Sandy, on behalf of everybody, thank you for the wonderful music enhancements that you brought to us and giving so freely of your time every Sunday. And happy big 70 to you. Yeah, thank you. The choir is also preparing for the fall, and this is a solicitation for anyone who would like to sing. Sandy has us doing Pachelbel's Canon, which we're going to present later in the fall in all voices, which are not that many. And so please, if you're able and like to have a music experience, Wednesday nights at 7, it's fun socially and it's fun musically, and we'd love to have you. So. And on the 1st and 3rd of the month, we meet at Poppleton Creek Park down the street for the Brown Bag Lunch, and that is rain or shine. Sunday, October 26th is our homecoming Sunday. We'll be welcoming back our seasonal congregants. We'll have an extended hospitality that Sunday, so please bring some food to share. Bob has a theme. It's the dish we remember from our early childhood. So please feel free and bring that and join. Also, with more people arriving on Sundays, we'll have sign-ups for some of the upcoming programs and activities that day. So there'll be little stations where you can sign up and find out about some of the programs. So that's October 26th, our homecoming Sunday. And Truman, who leads our now active social justice program, is back from Winston-Salem, and he is going to share some announcement information from social justice.
Good morning. Is this thing working? Yes. Good to be back in Florida. I took my walk this morning. I was reminded I'm back in Florida. And good to see all my good friends here as opposed to you. I am representing social justice team today with a reminder, because I think last week Jackie Buckley, another member of our social justice team, made an announcement decisions in their lives. But many of them are young women being home for the first time or buying for the first time. So one of the things that go into the kit are, again, feminine products, snacks, water, lotion, a journal, and most important of all, each backpack, green backpack that is given to a woman traveling out of state will have in it an individual note card written by the volunteer who puts the pack together in the backpack. And that's just to be a note of encouragement and support for women in this time. And the way to participate in writing those notes is that third way, and that is if some of you are willing, I know I'll be there, but I could have some others come with us. We'll go on Saturday, November 1st from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock at First View of the Palm Beaches. And that's a good way to be working side by side with other VUs. And we will assemble the travel kits and we will write the notes, put in the kits. And if I haven't already said it, those kits are managed, and the women are supported by an organization called EMA, or Emergency Medical Assistance. They've been doing this for a while now to support our state. So anyhow, the donation basket's out there. Donations today and every Sunday. We're going to go through, Jay and I will go through the gold plates the first time around. That's the normal offering. And then we're going to take these baskets through. Every time you see these baskets come through, all of this money will go toward the travel kits for young women who are traveling out of state. And you can see that they're large baskets, so we really need to fill it. So, sorry, as a former minister, I'm used to happening. Thank you.
Thanks, Drew. It's the first real big outreach program for the church for a long time, so thanks for leading it, and thanks in advance for everyone's financial support. That'll be during the month of October. So we have thanks to everyone who helped with the service today. We have Jackie Robbins on cello, Sandy on piano, and the choir will be there. And our greeters were Janet Grout, Judith Watt, David Gray, and the ushers today are Jay and Truman. And our tech team is Karina and Alistair. And our hospitality team today is Jackie Buckley, Judy, Jay, and a few other people. And before we move on any further, we have, Ronnie, would you stand up, please? Don't hold us up. Thank you. Ronnie takes care of all of the checks and all the money and all the stuff that comes in every week, and we never see what she does because she has to hide in the back room. But thank you very much for all you do throughout the year. And wonderful time. Today, we welcome Reverend John Brown. His talk today is An Authentic View of Death and Dying. It's always a pleasure to have Reverend John with us. We cherish him as a regular guest minister here, and he always brings us a compelling and relevant message, and hopefully today's will be more compelling than relevant. John holds a doctorate in religion from Claremont School of Theology in California, is a ministerial affiliate at Vero Beach UU congregation. He facilitates groups, does congregate visitations, and steps in for Sunday services there and here. Thank you, John. We look forward to your message today. Thank you. And now for our prelude.
Technology. So much for technology. Okay, so I actually read an email. Reverend Brown was going to be doing a sermon today on a subject that people do not like to talk about. So I've chosen, as of last night, and we're going to do this for the first time, the Largo for the New World Symphony. Anton Dvorak came to America and was charmed and wrote a symphony that's pretty well known. And the slow movement which is a largo, very slow, is a theme that many people know, and some people call it coming home, and some people call it going home. In any case, it's a beautiful way for me to look at death without being scared. So here's the theme from Dvorak's New World Symphony.
They're all so wonderful, but that was so endearing and lovely. Thank you. Yeah. It's time for our chalice lighting. We light this chalice as a fleeting flame. It flickers and dances in a temporary beacon of light and warmth. And in its bright and fragile beauty, we also accept impermanence in the seasons, in our lives, and even in this moment together. Let us embrace the transience of life and enjoy our grounding together in this present moment. And our opening words. There is something sobering about moments when mortality decides to pull up a chair and join you for a chat. It doesn't matter who you are, how much kale, tofu, or carrots you've eaten, or whether you can still squeeze into your high school jeans. Mortality reminds us that we're all just passing through, and none of us gets to skip the checkout line. Death doesn't discriminate, but here's the twist. Mortality isn't here to ruin the party, it's here to remind us to live. Craig Meiswitz. Please join me now for our opening hymn. It's number 145, As Tranquil Streams. We'll sing 4 verses, so if you're able, please stand. Hymn number 145, As Tranquil Streams. Let us recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And it's now time to share our joys and sorrows. First, Shari Louise is reporting that she's finally identified the cause of the ailment that has made her weak and wobbly, as she says. And she's on a strict 2-week recovery plan, and she hopes to be back in a couple weeks. So now, if you share your joys and sorrows, please be succinct and step up to the microphone. Tell us your name. I don't know if that's a joy or sorrow, but good luck.
I'll just talk. Oh, I won't talk louder. It seems a happy coincidence about John's message this morning. It was 3 years ago, this coming Saturday, that I lost my wonderful, adorable, funny, handsome, smart husband, Joe. And I have nothing but wonderful memories. And that's part of the good part of the end of life, is all the memories that linger.
Well, good morning and bon voyage. What a lovely trip. First of all, Tricia is home and she is healing, and hopefully she'll be back next Sunday. So thank you for all your good wishes. And the second thing is, interesting, the sermon today, because one of my longtime childhood heroines died this week, Jane Goodall, and I have followed her for years. And I just can't imagine the courage it takes to live in the jungle with a group of chimpanzees. It's just staggering what she's done for animal behavior. So I miss her.
Anyone else? We move one stone for those joys and sorrows too private to share. Know that our hearts are with you. And it's time for our responsive reading. And this is in the hymnal in the back, number 577. Is it possible to live in peace? And it should also be projected on the wall. If someone with courage and vision can rise to lead in nonviolent action, the winter of despair can, in the twinkling of an eye, be turned into the summer of hope. Nonviolence is not a garment you put on and off at will. It's set in the heart, and it must be an inseparable part of our being. Nonviolence, which is a quality of the heart, cannot come by an appeal to the brain. It is a plant of show growth, growing imperceptibly but surely. And this one is Gandhi. The whole reading is Gandhi. But if a single person achieves the highest kind of love, it will be sufficient to neutralize the hate of millions. If we are to teach real peace in this world, and if we are to carry on a real war against war, we shall have to begin with children. The future depends on what we do in the present. And now, our spirit of life. Please join. It's hymn number 123. Hum the first bar, or the first time through, and join with the choir in singing.
Grief. We hear that word in a variety of settings at different times in the journey we all take in life. Some people say that initially grief is experienced with shock, denial. Now we are discovered that anxiety is often the second stage, and for some people they feel anger, disbelief, and people, well, travel various emotions when grief occurs. Listen to these poets who speak of grief. When you lose someone you love, your life becomes strange. The ground beneath you becomes fragile, your thoughts make your eyes unsure, and some dead echo drags your voice down where words have no confidence. Your heart has grown heavy with loss, and though this loss has wounded others too, no one knows what has been taken from you when the silence of absence deepens. Flickers of guilt kindle regret for all that was left unsaid or undone. And there are days when you wake up happy again inside the fullness of life until the moment breaks and you are thrown back onto the black tide of loss. Days when you have your heart back, you're able to function well until in the middle of work or encounter, suddenly with no warning, you are ambushed by grief. And now our second poet. All you can depend on now is that sorrow will remain faithful to itself. More than you, it knows its way and will find the right time to pull the rope of grief until that coiled hill of tears has reduced to its last drop. Gradually you will learn acquaintance with the invisible form of your departed. And when the work of grief is done, the wound of loss will heal, and you have learned to wean your eyes from the gap in the air and be able to enter the hearth in your soul where your loved one has awaited your return all the time. Grief, a word we experience in a variety of ways. Let us now reflect on this word and the emotions that are associated with grief in this time of silence.
Now it's time for our offering. Will Truman and Jay please step up, our ushers? And as Truman said, the second collection today will be for the outreach project, and please give freely. And with these gifts, which we give freely and gratefully, we say yes to the values of the Unitarian Church. And our offertory will be by Jackie.
This is J.S. Bach, and a friend of mine is a poet, and I played on an album she called, the album was titled, I Wanna Die Nice and Easy. This is also something that Vince and Enid had requested at their joint funeral. And I also played it for Bertha when she passed away in this congregation.
I certainly believe that all of us want to be authentic or genuine to ourselves as well as to other people. And one aspect of life where this cannot be denied is in regard to the subject this morning, death and dying. I have found that it feels good to be true to myself as well as to others when I am authentic over the loss of a loved one. And by authentic, I mean that my personality and your personality, values and beliefs, well, they are completely honest. It's about really aligning our external actions with our internal self rather than presenting a false or idealized image to the world. Being authentic about the death of an important person in our lives is vital. I know I grieve, and I know many of you grieve as well over the loss of a special person in the life of this congregation, Pam, who certainly demonstrated to me a great deal of alertness and love, a great deal of enthusiasm and commitment to life. She is sorely missed. I can also remember when I was in seminary and I received a call from my mother, and she said, "The ambulance is here. Your father has had a stroke." And when I heard that, I was filled with shock and disbelief. I allowed myself to be honest with my feelings. But my father having a stroke, he was always so active and did so many things with me. Very different feeling. My dog sensed something was wrong and came to my side. My family and friends were there for me, and they embraced me at that time, and I'm so thankful that they reached out to me in their special way. And a short time later, my mother called back and said, "Your father died." I couldn't believe it. I just didn't understand. I was stunned. It was hard to put into words what was going on. Later, I returned to my hometown where there was a memorial service for my dad. And then when the ground thawed in Montana, my father's home state, I went to the service to lay my father to rest. I'm sure that many of us can recall when our own parent died. Did we put on a false face? No. Or be in a state of denial? Perhaps. Or were we honest and genuine with ourselves and with those around us? Death is the appointment that all of us will keep. It's a universal experience, a natural aspect of life we face with certainly a variety of feelings. And sometimes during this difficult time, we are able to control our emotions and our behavior. At other times, we're not. We act in a different way. We express emotions we never expressed before. But thank goodness we have a faith and this community that provides us with love and support when we need it the most, especially in the case when a loved one dies. In this sermon, I will discuss the beliefs of the Unitarian Fellowship regarding death, what to be aware of, and ways of coping with loss. There is no doubt that death is really a part of life. There is really no other plan. That is an appointment we are all to keep. It is the final option which we cannot escape. No matter if we are rich or poor, liberal, moderate, or conservative, we will all have to face that particular journey in our life. Death is the final chapter. With this knowledge, it is best to live our life fully, to be authentic with ourselves and others, in spite of the fact that we will all have to face our own morality. My first point this morning is this: what does the Unitarian Fellowship say about death? Unitarian faith requires us to understand death. Historically, Unitarians showed an interest in reforming an understanding of death. They significantly influence intellectually and practically how the greater culture deals with the overarching reality of the human condition, morality, and death. Unitarians and innovations, reform served to domesticate death in the name of the universal human condition. It challenged traditions and the supernaturalisms that supported those traditions. And there is no doubt It resisted the commercialization of death by the funeral industry. And it lifted up the dignity and worth of the deceased through artful and meaningful celebrations of life. There is a palpable Unitarian Universalist way for meeting death, though that way is not prescribed. Remember, Unitarian Universalism is non-creedal as well as progressive. Its ethos has continually encouraged the proving of all things while holding on to that which is good. The following are markers of Unitarian Universalism's contemporary convergent attitudes and understandings regarding that of death. Death, first of all, should not be invisible. Death is a hard reality, both to accept within our own mortality and to experience through a beloved. The American culture has devised strategies of denial, yet death is a pathway to living fully, even joyfully, in the moment. Death should be conditioned by nature. This might be literal, that is, creation remains in a garden cemetery or similar natural setting. Creation allows many options, including scattering ashes at a meaningful site or at several sites. Unitarian Universalist churches may have a carefully designed cremation garden or more uniformly include the ashes in planting. The tree or shrub serve as a living memorial. Furthermore, death should be construed as part and parcel of nature's cycle of continuing through the generations, a natural phenomenon. And being natural, death is right and fitting in nature's scheme. Nature inspires a richer living through the acceptance of mortality's place in the web of life. Unitarians were instrumental in its historical approach toward the death process. The rural cemetery movement began in the 1830s around Boston, already the Athens of America and home to the Enlightenment, religious freedom, reason, and tolerance known as Unitarianism. There was a reform movement led by Unitarians that sought to take death out of the pallor of the church's graveyard into the country and the beneficiaries of nature. The movement had sanctuary or health considerations, and cities, including Boston, were running out of burial space. These Unitarian reformers looked to a classical ideal known as a cemetery or place of repose in the countryside, resulted in a natural phenomenon in Cambridge known as Mount Auburn, the first carefully landscaped rural or garden cemetery. This was a place for the living and for the dead in the context of nature. Next, in the 1870s, a radical Unitarian minister in New York City, Octavius Frothingham, I like that name, preached the first sermon advocating, actually, cremation. Bombing also was one of the legacies of the Civil War, including the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. His embalmed body took a slow journey from Washington to Springfield and was viewed along the route. After World War II, an emergent Memorial Society movement in the name of the people resisted the practices of the firmly entrenched funeral industry. And many Unitarian congregations led the way in establishing local memorial societies. In fact, the San Francisco Memorial Society was organized in a Unitarian's living room, attended by a small group that included Jessica Mitford's attorney husband. Mrs. Mitford wrote one of the most influential books of the 20th century entitled The American Way of Death, that challenged the funerals industry's practices and launched a larger consumer movement. Unitarian clergy also led the way in creating a sort of final rite of passage, not a mournful funeral, rather a memorial service that acquired the name of celebration of life. This approach certainly influenced many denominations, including my church, the United Methodist Church. My 20th century colleagues became accomplished and renowned for speaking to the deceased life in a thorough, loving, authentic fashion. And through these 4 innovations, led and supported by our forebears, the Rural Cemetery Movement, cremation, the Memorial Society movement, and artful celebration of life as a person's final passage did take place. Well, I hope I've made a persuasive speech for how our tradition has taught the world to die, not to shrink from death, but to put it in a natural and human scheme. My second point brings us to what we need to be aware of when we are told a special person in our life has died. To answer this question, I'd like to turn to my favorite theologian, the Right Reverend Dr. Forrest Church, who was a Unitarian minister. You may or may not believe in God. Perhaps you believe in the universe as a divine presence. But Dr. Church gives us insights about God even if we don't believe in God. He said, God doesn't throw a 3-year-old child out of a 3rd-story window or allow a drunken driver to kill a family crossing the street. And this is not a part of God's plan. These are the accidents of death and of life. And if God, for instance, is responsible for a tsunami that obliterates the lives of hundreds of thousands of people and leaves their families in tatters, I cannot believe in such a God, he said, and I agree with him. For me, he said, God is a life force, that which is greater than all and yet present in each. But God is not micromanaging the world. That is a presumption that we are naturally drawn to because of our sense of its centrality and self-importance. But there are 1,500 stars for every living human being. And the God that I believe in is an absolute magnificent mystery. Well, I believe and I strongly appreciate Dr. Church's thoughts about the present beyond us. God is a mystery. And if we don't accept the concept of God, perhaps it is a divine presence or it is a universe that exists but does not control us. You may see it in the process initiated by nature. Once I was called when I was a minister and a young child's father had died, and I went to the home and sat down with her. And I talked with her about death and about nature. Her father died suddenly, and I suggested that the next time she looks at a leaf, she might think of death. I said that there is a period of time that the life is green and it's wonderful to hold and to play with and to roll in when you stack all those leaves together. And it adds to certainly the beauty of the day. But there is a season when life shrivels up. It is no longer with us, and it dies. That is what happens to all of us at some time in our life. Reverend Church finally goes on to say that he does not spend very much time thinking about death, stating that he lives completely in the present. And my third point brings us to what are some of the ways of coping with loss. I want to say loud and clear that grief is a natural process. In coping with loss, I found it to be helpful to be aware of the 2 C's in managing grief, which are choose and connect. They serve as really essential tools for navigating the complex emotions that accompany loss. These principles provide a framework, really, for managing the grieving process. Empowering individuals to manage feelings and stability during a time when life feels anything but stable is so important. And they are especially helpful when someone very close to us dies. First, understand you have choices. Choices can really help us navigate through some of our emotions and contain a sense of control in our life. It is important that you try not to feel dependent or so out of control that you in turn feel victimized. It is okay, by the way, to incline invitations to events or gatherings, and it's best not to feel guilty when you say no to a family member or a friend to an invitation they extend. This is a time to focus on memories, the wonderful thoughts and other feelings associated with the loss of the loved one. The feelings might be anger, they might be deep sadness, a feeling of numbness or denial as well, and many other emotions. We may act in ways we never anticipated. I can remember one time going to the YMCA and getting out of my car, going in, and when I came back, my car door was still open. It was a grief reaction over the loss of my mother. Friends and family should understand that excessive activities and being told that your presence was missed can really overload our emotions. Choose to participate in activities that promote your well-being, or step back from those events that are not growth-producing or energizing or provide an element of rest. You can eat with a friend or support group rather than with a family when you are going through the stage of grieving. You may ask for alone time from those around you so as to spend time to recharge, to heal. In fact, it is best to choose those relationships or events that empower you to take charge of your emotional well-being or to heal. Secondly, it is important to connect. And during this grieving process, it is important for you to stay in touch with loved ones. On the other hand, no one should dictate if you should connect with others or simply be alone with your feeling. You make that choice. Showing pictures, sharing memories, and allowing yourself to let others know what you feel might help you in the healing process. Support groups and talking with friends who have experienced the loss of a loved one may also be helpful in moving and developing through the grief process. For some, you may not want to be with family member or friends at times, and that's okay. And keep in mind that having time alone is also a part of the grieving process. It is really up to you and only you to make the decision to be connected or to be disconnected from other people. In essence, listen to your heart and mind and how you want to proceed with connections and their duration. Also, be aware that long periods of isolation and disconnection from friends and family, as well as keeping feelings suppressed, might lead to depression, and be aware of that. And I hope that if you experience depression after a period of time, or increased consumption of alcohol or pain medications occur, that you seek the assistance of a counselor. Finding healthy ways of releasing your feelings and coping with your grief needs to be a priority, a very important priority during this stage in your life. In closing, keep in mind that this community of faith, and I know this for a fact, and celebration will not erase our pain over the loss of a loved one, but processing your feelings can transform your grief in countless ways. And there is no doubt in my mind that community members are aware of how we manage loss. People here, people around you might even suggest ways of coping with death in such a way we never thought of. And therefore, it's certainly helpful to ask. Our community is a wonderful setting, again, for the healthy release of feelings associated with the loss of a loved one. Death is like the waves in the ocean. There will be times when the waves rush in, and other times when it recedes. Rushes in and then recedes. It is natural or normal to miss the life of a loved one. Don't deny those feelings. What lies beyond that loss of consciousness, we do not know, but we can learn to know the reality of life and death in which we live. And I believe that our best hope lies in sharing the journey together and speaking to one another of what we have seen and heard and learned. Facing death step by step as honestly, authentically, and being as open as we can is vital for the healing process. In doing this, we build meaning together in the knowledge that whatever we do, whatever we are, the world neither begins nor ends with us, that we come forth and go back having been given the gifts of life, having given in return what we could of ourselves. Amen. May we turn to our closing hymn and sing the first 3 verses of 298, Wake Now, My Senses. Seated. And beloved, may love guide you on your journey forward with joy and appreciation for those who have traveled with you, even though they are no longer present. May love meet you at every turn and hope be your daily practice. May gratitude of the deceased be with you, compassion embolden you, and open-hearted courage be your upending choice when there is loss. May peace challenge you, generosity empower you, and may you know in every day that you are not enough. Well, no, you are enough, just exactly as you are, and you are not alone. Amen.